All right, Nick, let's talk about the New Orleans Saints. This is a team that I think there's a lot of great stuff. Switch up at the coach, a lot of good directions the Saints are starting to go in. I think overall this team is heading in the right direction, but I'm not the only one. Other people are starting to see it, and the data points to it as well. This team is set up very well, and one position in particular is showing that it is in a really great spot to succeed. We'll get into all that and break it down here in just a second. But first, I'm Andrew. That's Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, one position for the Saints is really set up to succeed here. This is, great news for Saints fans, though, because it's the most important position on the field. And we're talking about the quarterback position. And let's jump into this article. It's kind of an offshoot comment that really leads us into our overall point here. It just talks about the quarterback position and which rookie quarterbacks were brought in to the best situations as far as guys that were drafted early on in the draft. This is from over on SI.com. And it's Colin Keene, a Saints reporter, on the rookie QB's potential success. And specifically, first off, he's talking about Cam Ward versus Tyler Shough. He says, but for me, just looking at it from this point, I feel like Tyler Shough is one of those two that's in the better scenario. I just feel like Tyler Shough has the better supporting cast, better coaching around him as of right now as an early projection for 2025. And I think that was interesting, and it got me thinking, you can say that and we can talk about it, but when you put it down and look at it on paper, is that actually the case? Is it true? And let's throw Jackson Dart in there as well, another early round, first round quarterback as well. And so we have a chart here just showing the Saints 2024 PFF grades versus the Titans and the Giants through the three phases of what I would call supporting cast on offense. What's your blocking look like? What's your running grades look like? And what do your receiving grades look like? And I think when you look at how the Saints stack up, it's true. Tyler Shough is in a better situation than a lot of these other early round rookie quarterbacks. We see here, we got Cam Ward in blue, Jackson Dart in orange, and Tyler Shough for the Saints in green. Let's look at rushing grades. First off, Cam Ward, 72.7 rushing grade for the Titans last year, 75 rushing grade for the Giants last year, and an 84.7 rushing grade for the Saints last year. Tyler Shough, clear advantage in the rushing game. Plus, you haven't even factored in the Kellen Moore effect of what that's going to do for the running game by getting a better passing offense in tow. I think that's going to be good here. Next, we look at receiving grade. This one, Saints in last place here, but they're very close. It's a very tight race. 70.8 receiving grade, 70.2, and 67.1. There's injuries, bad quarterback play last year. Just overall, the team wasn't looking too hot. I won't put too much stock in there. I think the important part is they're very, very close to the other teams. So I think Shough here in a good situation. Looking at pass blocking, another one for the Saints that really, I think injuries were a major portion here. Plus, they've made some additions. I think it's going to help this out tremendously. But overall, the other two teams, not much better if you really break it down. 60.1 pass blocking grade for the Titans, 57.6 for the Giants, and 51.7 for the Saints. And finally, where the Saints really shine, where I think they have another really, really big jump over the competition, is in their run blocking grades. It's going to run, it's going to open up the pass, and the Saints team is going to have a really great rushing game as well. You look to here, 46.4 run blocking grade for the Titans, a 59.7 run blocking grade for the Giants, and a 67.8 run blocking grade for the Saints. So as we can see here, the Saints really good in a couple categories, and I think injuries in addition to this team are going to really elevate the other categories for this team. I think the addition of Banks is going to help pass blocking, and I think better pass blocking, better blocking overall, and better quarterback play is going to help the receiving grades go up for these receivers. So I think overall the Saints in a really strong position. Plus, add in Kellen Moore. We haven't even really factored that in. I think that's going to overall boost this offense as a whole. So the Saints looking really good. Tyler Shough in a great situation. If he wins out the quarterback battle competition, this guy is set up for success, and I think he has an opportunity to do something really special here for the Saints. Curious what your thoughts are on all of this, Nick. But before we get to you, Saints fans, in the comments section below, let us know, who are you feeling? I mean, we're getting close to time. There's going to be a winner here eventually. We're talking Spencer Rattler. We're talking Tyler Shuck. One of these guys, maybe you like Haener. I don't know. You can throw him in there if you want to. I don't really think he's too close to winning. But out of the quarterbacks in this quarterback competition, who do you truly think is going to be the starter week one, or who do you want to be the starter week one? Let us know your thoughts and maybe why you want that person to be it in the comment section below. And while you're down there, make sure to check out our newsletter and subscribe to it. It is really interesting. A lot of great extra information, some of our favorite articles, some of our favorite comments from you guys. So you leave a great comment down, maybe it gets highlighted in the newsletter. So make sure to subscribe to that in the description below the video. But nonetheless, Nick, what are your thoughts on everything here for New Orleans?
I mean, it just put this quarterback battle in a very interesting situation. And I think the data you showed and highlighted there, I wasn't aware of this, and I kind of kicking myself because early on in the 2024 season, the Saints were a juggernaut, and then the injuries happened, right? And we look at the teams that were devastated by injuries. You look at the 49ers, the Dallas Cowboys, the Miami Dolphins. People forget how just absolutely obliterated the New Orleans Saints were when it came to injuries by the end of the season. I mean, they were just like a lot of the teams I just mentioned, they were just down to second and third stringers at half their key positions, right? It just wasn't the same team. And when you look at how good their numbers actually were anyway, there's 2024 numbers, and then you factor in the PFF boost they're going to get when, their actual good players are playing, and then you add the addition of guys like Banks on the offensive tackle position, suddenly you look at this infrastructure for a quarterback and you're like, this is pretty good. And I think if you have a good infrastructure, I think it's kind of a weird way to think about it, but I think this is true. If you've got a good infrastructure, I want to go with the rookie earlier. I want to have a good chance to evaluate him. That's me personally, and I think that's generally a good strategy. If your infrastructure isn't there yet, you don't want to start the rookie right away. You want to make sure the young guy has time to get brought up to speed before he gets thrown into the chaos. If you've got a good group of guys already and it's not very chaotic, then you go with the rookie. And I think that's why, in my opinion, with this data that you highlighted, I think Tyler Shuck has become the favorite just based on that alone. And I think what's very interesting, in fact, we got a graphic here that we pulled from Perplexity AI talking about the last four quarterbacks that were taken outside the first round that made the Pro Bowl. If you want to throw it up, Mize, if you don't mind. And it's just listed the four in front of you here. Nothing too special. It's just Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, and Kirk Cousins. You can see where they were drafted in the Pro Bowls they went to, all that kind of stuff. Again, you can just look at that if you want. But I think the key thing is if you go through all four of those guys, all four had fundamental flaws, or at least early in their careers, but had really good infrastructures. Brock Purdy, the 49ers, really stacked team. Kyle Shanahan across the board. Jalen Hurts, great Eagles offensive line, great running game, good receivers, great defense, right across the board. Dak Prescott with the Dallas Cowboys, he actually had Kellen Moore, right, working with him. Actually, so did Jalen Hurts, for that matter. Throw that into the mix. But you look at Prescott, he had taken over the Romo Cowboys that had Dez Bryant. You had Ezekiel Elliott, great offensive line, great infrastructure. And of course, Kirk Cousins, he's had a lot of great infrastructure around him. He actually had a guy like Sean McVay, remember him? Working as the offensive coordinator in Washington early in his career before he went to the Minnesota Vikings, and then was working with guys like Justin Jefferson. So if you look at guys who are not first-round quarterbacks, to a man, the guys that were successful, the guys on the screen, these were guys that had good infrastructure, that had playmakers, that had good coaches, solid offensive line. That's exactly what the Saints have right now, again, when healthy. Because if you look at this crew, the way they were at the end of last season with the backups and the third stringers, you're like, not a good football team. But if you look at them now healthy, what it's supposed to be, you're like, offensive line looks pretty good. Running back room looks really good. You look at wide receivers, looks pretty solid. Defense has a lot of good pieces. Right now, look, they're far from a perfect team. They've got a lot of flaws. But across the board, this is not a disastrous infrastructure to be in. This isn't, like some of the other teams you mentioned. I look at the Tennessee Titans. I feel bad for Cam Ward. I feel like that's going to be a real rough situation. The Saints have a really solid infrastructure, a really solid team set up for this young quarterback to succeed. I think Kellen Moore looks at this and says, listen, I was there with Dak Prescott when we had a good infrastructure. He went 13-3. I was there with Jalen Hurts, or I came there. Watched Jalen Hurts. I think coach Jalen Hurts later in Philly. By his first season, when he was the Week 1 starter, he went to the postseason because he had a solid infrastructure. He looks at that. He sees that. He remembers the Brock Purdy example. Remembers the Kirk Cousins example, and says, "We've got a similar group of an offense around right here. We got a good coaching staff. Let's go with the young guy." I think that's the mindset the Saints are going to go in. I could be wrong. We have to see what happens, of course, during training camp and preseason. But based on the data you showed and just based on the history, I think it's pointing to Tyler Shuck becoming the next QB1 for the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, Nick, and I tend to agree with you. I think and it's looking that way because that's the case here. That's the fact of the matter. Is this team? It was really, really strong. I think everyone remembers Week 1 and Week 2 last year. It was who could beat the Saints. What team is going to go to the Super Bowl and be able to beat the Saints? Because that is what it looked like. They were absolutely unstoppable, phenomenal. Then injuries set in, and we all know how that song and dance ended, as unfortunate as it was. But when you look at what was possible, this was a team that was on fire and can do a lot. And that was before they had a great play caller like Kellen Moore, who's really great at scheming up offenses, doing a lot of good stuff. So I think I agree with you. I think Tyler Shuck is definitely the favorite to lead this offense. I think he's the favorite to be the starting quarterback here. I like him to be. I like quarterbacks that can set up. I like quarterbacks that have to wait a while when they aren't actually set up very well. But it's like you said, when you're set in position to do well, go ahead and get them in early. There's less room for failure there. There's less room for errors when your floor of players around you brings it up a little bit higher. You can come in and some of those mistakes early on get erased. It gets you more comfortable in the NFL setting and just kind of probably I'd say accelerates your progression a little bit. Now, like I feel bad for Jackson Dart. I feel bad for Cam Ward, like you said, going into those offenses. If you have to start Week 1, I feel bad for whoever starts for the Browns Week 1 coming into those teams in those situations. If you got to start Week 1, it's not going to look too hot. It is going to really, really set guys back. And we've seen it happen time and time and time again. Early first round guys come in, really just get set back early on. And sometimes they don't ever really bounce back from it. So I love what we're seeing from Shuck so far. I love all the comments we've heard. I love he stayed back and helped with the Manning Passing Academy in New Orleans. He shows he's got a lot of heart, a lot of grit, a lot of leadership at that camp. I'm sure Saints fans all read the comments from Archie Manning and Peyton Manning talking about how much they love what the guy was doing leadership-wise and being a leader at the camp. So everything you hear, Tyler Shuck doing good. You hear the comments, the guy's already like a huge advocate for the city, bringing up all the food and great culture they have there. Just anything you hear for Tyler Shuck, it sounds good, and this is just even better for him. It's really a great situation for Saints. If I'm a Saints fan, I'm really excited because you look last year, what could have been, could be this year for Tyler Shuck, and you can have an absolutely fantastic quarterback on your hand with a great infrastructure as well.